All right, and welcome into the E&S Hoover Show. I got an awesome guest with me today, Steffany Boldrini. Am I pronouncing it right?
Boldrini, but yes, that's fine.
Boldrini. That's close. I always butcher the names. It's part of my show. It's just what I do. So welcome to the show, Steffany. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, Ian?
Oh, not too bad. As you can see, I mean, you're in sunny California, correct? It's always sunny there. I am in Western Pennsylvania. It's not always sunny here, but I'm getting kind of blinded by some sunshine coming through my window. It's like a beautiful 80-degree day here. We don't have many of those.
That's awesome. Oh, enjoy it.
We were just out on a lunch appointment before this, and yeah, definitely enjoying the weather. We were eating outside. We definitely love when we get these wonderful days. So. But let's go ahead and get into it, Steffany. Thanks for coming on the show. I always like to start with where you came from, and you got a really interesting story. So why don't we start from that? Like where were you born, and what got you to the path where you're at now?
Sure. I was born and raised in Brazil and came to the US when I was 18 and started my career in tech sales just by a matter of landing in Silicon Valley. And then decided after about a decade to do real estate investing because I knew people that were in that world. And it was a phenomenal asset class that we can add a lot of value and get great returns and create wealth over time. So that is the very short story of
Wow.
how
Well,
I'm
let's
here.
let's yeah, let's dig a little bit more into that. What was it like growing up in Brazil?
It was, it makes me appreciate the US a lot. The
Okay.
people are great in Brazil, but it's you don't have a ton of opportunities when compared to here. So I count my blessings every single day for being here.
I always tell young entrepreneurs that when I meet with them, that like you don't realize how lucky you are that we're in the land of opportunities of America. I mean, I literally obviously I grew up here, but I grew up in kind of a rough neighborhood, and we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up, and I'm uneducated and all that good stuff, but I can still put together. I mean, I still got banks that'll give me millions of dollars in loans or whatever to be able to do what I do, and you're not going to get that in every country, like
Right.
we're blessed to be here. So at what age did you move from Brazil to Silicon Valley?
18.
At 18. Okay. What made you
Yes.
decide Silicon Valley?
Oh, it was just luck. My parents, my mom married my stepfather who lived there, so it was just
Oh, okay.
God.
Well, yeah, it's definitely luck, and luck of the draw, and it's a good place to end up, obviously, with all the entrepreneurs and everything in Silicon Valley. So, what did you do when you first got to? I know you said you were in the tech industry, but what did you do when you were 18 and just getting started?
I mean, I was just working regular college jobs, Blockbuster, if anybody remembers what that is.
Blockbuster. Oh man, I
And
miss Blockbuster.
and banks, and decided to get into lending while going to college as a loan officer. And then the lending world crashed in '08, so then I decided to join whoever would take me. And my friend said I should join the company he was working for, and that was sales. So that's how I got started in sales. It's a great career, but at some point I wanted to get out of it, so that's why we decided to join into the real estate world.
Why would you ever want to get out of sales? It's so much fun, and you just get to talk to people all day long, and it's so easy, right? Like everybody should just want to stay in sales their whole life.
Yeah, it's super easy.
So what company was it that you started your sales career with?
It's a company that was called ShoreTel. I don't even know if they're still alive, but
Short
that
sale.
was the first company. ShoreTel. It was like a voice over IP company.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So like one of the original, like the Magic Jacks and all that type of thing, maybe somewhere in that
Hmm.
realm of the business.
I guess so.
Okay. All right. And then how long did you work there before you transitioned out of the sales business?
About a year and a half, more or
Year
less,
and a half.
or
Okay.
2 years. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. It's I don't remember what I eat for breakfast most days, right? So yeah, luckily today I just ate my normal, which is a hard boiled egg, so I remember that one. And then so after a year and a half of that sales job, what did you do next? Like, what was your next step on your journey?
Yeah, so then I started a startup, which was an incredible, humbling experience. I worked on that 24/7, literally for 3 years. Weekends, holidays. I remember I was really just going to the gym once a week for an hour. Um, and that was an amazing experience. The startup did not work out, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and so you learn so much, and you also become a much more understanding person, about all levels. Right, at a company, everybody has a boss. I don't care if you're the CEO. The CEO has a boss. The investors have a boss. They're the people that give them money to invest, right? So you really understand the whole spectrum and how hard it is to build something huge. So you become a good employee after that, just by a matter of going through that experience. So yeah, after that I went to a few more sales jobs, and then did real estate.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So the starting a business of any kind is definitely difficult, and you're going to learn a lot. I love that you said you use one of my lines. I'm always telling my son, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," right? Because he just broke his collarbone not too long ago, and he's like, "Oh, this stinks." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger." And I don't think he believes it yet, but I think if I say it long enough to him, he'll eventually believe it, because it's definitely one of the lines that I use on a regular basis. So talk to me a little bit more about your journey as a startup, and like what, obviously it didn't work out, right? So like what
Hmm.
was the ultimate like failure of your business, and then how did it, like what was the process like to realize that, like, okay, this isn't working out and I need to do something different?
Sure. So we did a few things wrong. Number one was, we were a marketplace, first of all, for natural products, and when we launched, we opened up to every single category under the sun, and so nobody really remembered our website for one thing in particular. Like when Amazon launched, they launched only with books, and then they expanded very slowly to now everything under the planet being
Right.
sold there. So that was the number one mistake, I believe. Number two was naming the company, not doing a research to see what people really wanted. So in the beginning, it was towards green products. And then we realized that we had to ask people if they wanted that. And it turned out that health was more important to people. And so we named it more towards the green, which we should have done research way earlier. And then the last one was we weren't charging enough per transaction. We were charging very little, and that we would have to have sold thousands and thousands and thousands of products to pay for one engineer. So we should have charged more from each sale to the people that were selling on our platform. So those were the main mistakes. And then at some point, you realize, okay, it's been a while since we've been doing this, and this approach is not working out. And then you can either make a decision of switching strategies or moving on to something else. And after 3 years, I decided to move on to something else.
Okay, so you gave it a good solid 3 years. You didn't quit. I always mess with my brother a little bit and say he quit his business in like 2 weeks. Like, you can't do that. You gotta give it time, right? So you
Yeah.
quit after 3 years. So getting into that, you said that you first off didn't do enough research, right? And you didn't realize that
Yeah.
like wanted healthy more than they wanted green. What point did you come up with that conclusion? Like, did you like, was it after a year or after 2 years?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ian. It was about a year and a half into it because we ended up going to an incubator program. So I had zero idea about anything startup when I started, or how to market, anything about legal, nothing, absolutely nothing. And then after some point, I decided to join an incubator program, and one of the first homeworks was to do your research and ask
Yes.
your target audience what they needed. Duh.
Oh, you say duh,
So
but to somebody who's never done it before,
yeah,
that's not duh. That should be almost like an
exactly.
aha experience. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that would have been a great idea, right? So if you
Exactly.
were to go back and do it all over again, would you start in the incubator program first or
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's why mentors are so important in our world, right? Or any world, forever and ever. We need to surround ourselves with people that know what they're doing. Uh,
absolutely.
so
Yeah, my mentor is he's not in the room, so I could talk about him in a good way. He's not my partner, but he's been such a I mean, before him I had nothing, and now it's
oh,
I'm blessed. I'm a lucky guy. He's a great mentor and a great partner. But if he was here, I wouldn't be saying any of that, right? Because I can't make his head too big. And I don't think he watches my show anyway, so I can talk bad about him all I want on here. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think seek expert counsel, something that is a big thing, in the book world, the business book world, and that's something that you definitely should. Like, if you want to get into something, you should find somebody who's maybe done something at least somewhat similar before, and kind of get some opinions of because somebody might have pulled you aside and said, hey, you should maybe before you invest all this time and energy and money,
hmm
maybe you should
yeah,
start here, and that could have completely transformed. Maybe your business would have been uber successful for all you know, right?
right, exactly.
Okay, very cool. So you said that the one of the big mistakes you made was not charging enough. How much were you charging per item that was sold on your marketplace?
Oh, I think it was something like 7%.
You're basically charging like a
Uh,
sales tax.
yeah, and our
Okay.
competitors were charging 20 or 30%.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the sales tax in California?
I think it's around close to 9% nowadays.
Okay. Yeah, ours is 7% here in Allegheny County. So you were charging 7%. The competitors were charging 20 to 30%. How did you come up with that 7%?
I don't remember. I
You
don't
don't remember?
remember. We thought it
Okay.
was a fair number for the beginning of the website that the sellers would be interested in selling there. Um, but yeah, I don't remember the exact reason why.
Yeah, I was
7.
curious because I know, like, for instance, eBay, they have like an upfront fee,
Yeah.
then they have like a marketing fee, and then they have an end fee, which I think it all adds up to about like 15%. And I believe they're one of the least expensive out of like an online sales
Yeah,
company. Right? So
for sure. Yeah,
I don't even know
15
what
is cheap.
Etsy charges or anything like
Yeah.
that, but very cool. So then you decided, okay, this isn't working out, and you transitioned. Is that when you transitioned? You said you had a couple more sales jobs, and then you transitioned into real estate. So what was the moment when you decided real estate was going to be that next step for you?
Uh, what the moment was that, I was just done with, having a boss and the pressure of sales, even though, thank God I was also pretty good at it. I really wanted to try that out and see what I could make out of it. So it's been an incredible journey so far.
Did you? How did you get to that though? How did you go through like online research, or did you just decide to buy an investment property? Like, what was your first step into real estate?
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend was a real estate investor, and that's how I got the idea. I mean, from talking to him and started learning everything that I possibly could from him, and taking notes and making offers on properties with him. So it was a really good experience. And then decided I had to go on my own because we broke up. And then I had to also, figure out how am I going to get more mentors, and decided to start a podcast to get to know more people in the industry, in commercial real estate, go to conferences, meet as many people as possible. And I have a spreadsheet today that is, I think, over 500 people that I've met so far in person, that I tag them by asset class, what we could work and collaborate with together, and things like that. So you got to take
Wow.
whatever comes your way. You got to take charge and move on.
That's really cool. So you actually have literally kept a spreadsheet of everybody you've met since you got into commercial real estate.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow,
exactly.
that's actually a really great idea. I mean, I have obviously a real estate brokerage, and we have just about 50 agents that work for us, and I'm always preaching to them of like how important your database is. And I'm just talking about like
Mhm.
a CRM. I'm not even talking about like literally everybody you ever meet, which you should. You should just get in the habit of like, I always kept. I did the old school, like you said, Blockbuster. I got business cards just laying around my
Yeah,
office because anybody I meet, I grab their business card, and then I have a huge stack in my drawer, and I just like a couple of times a year go through them and just kind of I'll have notes on some of them, whatever. But
yeah,
the power of people is, I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere I'm at if I hadn't met some awesome people along the way, right? And
yeah.
that's just something that is super important. I love that. I'm going to actually make a note of that and bring it up to some of my agents. But so you're getting into real estate. You were with your boyfriend. You go off on your own. What was like? Did you buy a property? What was your first thing that you did on your own?
Yeah, I came across a portfolio of car washes and self-storage, and the numbers looked great. So I said, how hard can it be to learn about car washes? And I should have not asked myself that question.
How hard can it be? I did a startup. No, we're good. How hard could this
Yeah,
possibly be, right? So, how many car washes are we talking about?
uh, three self-serve car washes
Okay, and you said it also had storage. Is that what the other part
and a
was?
storage. Yes,
How
storage
many
facility.
storage units?
One right now. Yeah.
One. Okay. So, and then what was the like purchase price of that portfolio?
It was around two, three, more or less. We don't talk like exact numbers besides cash on cash. But yeah, it was around that price
Like
range.
2 to 3 million?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 2 to 3 million. I mean, I'm gonna guess you obviously had a startup and you kind of went through all of that, and then some other sales jobs. I'm gonna guess you didn't have like a couple $100,000 laying around for like a down payment. How did you acquire that asset?
Well, I've been a frugal person my whole life. Not cheap, but frugal. So yeah, and then finding the right lender to help with that. So got a few no's. Obviously, I would have said no to myself if I was a lender. But at some point, I called the lender back after they said no because we were about to close, and he said, "Let's talk." Let's
Okay.
have a conversation. How can we make this work? So we agreed on both giving up some things, and they landed, and now they landed me for more properties as well.
Oh wow! So you found a really good lender. Obviously, that's. I mean, that's key to any kind of real estate investment that you buy. You need to have that lender that's going to fund it. And then you said you were frugal. Look, I like that. But I'm going to guess it's probably pretty hard to be frugal in Southern California, right? Like,
Well, as a Brazilian, you live at your parents' house until late. So I was there for about until I was 27 at my parents' house. And
okay,
then my friends were like, "Come on, Stephanie, it's time." I said, "Oh, fine."
it's not just not living at your mom and dad's place.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you stayed at home, you saved up for a while,
Yeah.
so that's great. That got you your first asset, but then I'm going to guess that took up at least a large amount of the
Mhm.
capital that you had. So, what was your growth strategy to acquire more assets after that?
Yeah, so right now I'm at that stage that we're going to start doing syndications. First, I wanted to show the numbers that, I was capable of doing for myself. So the investors would know that I have experience and capability of adding value to even a brand new asset class that is super hard, like car washes. So this is the next step to do syndications, and all my friends know by now what I do, and I've been also keeping track on that spreadsheet of who would be interested in, who have told me that they would be interested in investing when I do the syndication. So that is the next step for growing at this point.
Okay, so still just at that one portfolio that you bought, and now you're going to try and use syndication as a route to grow on a larger scale basis.
Yeah, I got a couple more assets after that, but right now is the syndication. Yeah, step.
Gotcha. Okay. And what was the thought process to get you to the point where you're like, syndication is the route for me?
Oh, I knew that all along because we all run out of money at some point. So I knew that all along, but I knew that I also had to have a track record first. So
Okay. Yeah, you definitely, yeah, if people are going to hand over their hard-earned money to you, you got to be able to show them a track record of what you do and how you do it. What's the process like? Because I've done a little bit of research, but I've never really fully dug in. What's the process like to start like a syndication?
well, you have to have all the legal documents in order with a syndication attorney, and then you can decide to do either with accredited investors or non-accredited investors. And I believe there is a way to do both, but it's a little bit complicated, or it takes a little bit longer. And then you need to pound the phone and call all of your friends and family members and talk to them about the deal and explain how you're going to add value, what's the estimated IRR, and and then and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so you had like essentially the entity set up and all the legal paperwork put in for the syndication, and then I'm assuming you already found the next asset and maybe like even acquired, like locked it up under a contract, and then you're trying to now fund that deal. Is that essentially where you're at?
I don't have the property yet, but I'm in the process of analyzing several properties right now, and then the syndication paperwork, and then raising the funds after it's in contract. So yes.
Gotcha. And then your pitch to the investor is going to be mostly a return based on the cash that they put in. That's why you use the term cash on cash. What kind of a return can somebody expect to get in one of these deals that you're hoping to acquire?
I'm looking to have at least 15 to 20% return over 5 years minimum.
Gotcha.
That's the
15 to
goal.
20% over 5 years. Okay. So that's a
Hmm.
per year over 5 years, or 15%
Correct.
over
Per
five?
year.
Okay.
Per year.
So
Hmm.
if somebody, gives you $100,000, then they're going to get $15,000, 15 to $20,000 a year for
Correct.
5 years. And then what happens to their capital at that point? Like, did they get it back at some point? Does it continue just to do that? Now they just own a portion of this property. What's the exit strategy for that end investor?
So I'm a firm believer of keeping real estate and not selling. And the strategy there is to refinance after 5 years, return all of their money back, and then we get infinite returns after that. Obviously, if we decide to sell the property to go into bigger, better things, that's also a possibility. But I do believe that real estate should be kept for a very long time.
Okay,
And
so
so that,
the strategy then is to do a refinance, a cash out refinance, pay off your investors, and hopefully do the next deal with those same investors. If they had a good experience, they'll probably invest again, I
exactly.
would assume. And then when you do, I'm trying to think of, so if you do that, then why is it five? Like, why are you thinking 5 years? Because you should be able to do a cash out refinance quicker than that. Or do these investors really want a 5 year return? Is that like what they're?
That's a typical syndication time frame. So it's at least 5, sometimes 7, sometimes 10-year time frame, depending on the asset class, depending on how big it is, depending on several factors. So it all depends on a lot of things, but it's 5 years of bare minimum, normal
Gotcha.
standard for syndications.
And then the 15 to 20% is your target cash on cash return for those people. Like what? I mean, I assume there's risk with any investment. Do you have like a guaranteed rate that they're going to get in that particular investment?
It'll depend on the purchase price and a lot of other things as well. We're thinking right now 6% because cap rates are so compressed. So a lot of people are decreasing those guaranteed returns. And so that's pretty much what the going rate is, give and take.
Okay, so you're going to guarantee them somewhere around, let's just say 5 to 7% that they're going to
Yeah,
get no matter what. But
right.
you're hoping to get them 15 to 20% because you think that will want to make them want to reinvest next time.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay. And then when you say the words infinite return, I know what you mean by that, but what to somebody who's maybe not as educated on the investment side of things, what's an infinite return?
So it's basically, let's say you invest 100K in real estate right now, 5 years from now, you refinance and you get that 100K back into your account. That whatever is coming, whatever you're netting after that is what it's called infinite return, because you got 100% of your return of your investment back. And so whatever comes after that is just quote unquote free money.
Right. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I like how you broke that down too. It's definitely you can't do a return on investment on nothing, right? So like you literally have an asset that you bought essentially for nothing after everything's said and done, after you go through the process. And it's a lot of what I do is within what we call the BRRRR strategy, right? Where you're going to
Hmm.
buy, renovate, refinance, repeat.
Yeah.
So we're constantly looking for that deal that's going to get us that infinite return, right? You're just doing it on a much larger scale. So, like,
Yeah.
what kind of a size project are you thinking that first syndication deal is going to be?
Somewhere around 3 to 5 million, more or less.
Okay, so pretty similar to like what you've already done. You're just going to
Hmm.
continue doing them. Do you ever see yourself getting into anything larger? Like, what's going to be the next step
Yeah.
after you get the syndication off the ground?
Yeah. I mean, and then you scale from there, and maybe at some point you do a fund. So it really depends on your goals and what kind of team you're able to get together, and really to provide the best quality of investments to your investors.
You're
So
thinking like a REIT, like that type of a
not a
fund?
REIT, maybe just a fund. Yeah.
Okay, just a fun. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, read. You got to jump through a lot more hoops because it's obviously on the stock exchange and stuff. There's a lot more red tape, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, very cool. So I mean, what's your goal? Like, where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Oh, that's a little far away. 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably with quite a few self-storage properties under our belts and syndications, and some incredible partners, aka investors, that have been there for the 2 decades and longer, and are incredibly happy with our service and our product. And yeah, just building wealth for not only ourselves, but for everyone that joins us in this beautiful journey.
Awesome. I like that. Do you have any like personal like goals that maybe you want to, move back to Brazil at some point? Like what's your personal stuff?
Well, hopefully have a family by then, and just be, adopting every single animal that I come across and putting them in a beautiful farm. And yeah, the rest is the small stuff.
You're a big animal lover, huh?
Yes, yes,
What,
I am.
do you have any animals right now?
Yeah, I have one dog right now.
One dog. What kind of a dog?
She is the smart kind. She's a mutt.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that before. The smart kind.
Street
I have
smart,
a I have a
like me.
little wiener dog, so just a little
Oh,
dachshund. So she's a great dog. I told my wife the other day I think she's gonna be the last animal I ever had because I think after that, we're gonna be traveling more, and
yeah,
I just I wanna not have to worry about another animal, where they're gonna go, and I hate putting them in boarding, and there's just so much
yeah,
into it. It's almost like having another kid.
yeah. That's true. That is very true.
Um, okay, well, I usually like to wrap up the show with a couple questions that I ask everybody. So I'm intrigued. You're in a little bit different realm than I am. Obviously, I'm more on the small scale investment side, as we talked about before we started recording. And you're on the large scale investment side. What is your favorite business book?
The magic of thinking big, if that can be considered a business book.
Okay, The Magic of Thinking Big. Uh,
Hmm.
who's the author of that book?
Oh gosh, I'm bad with names. I
Okay,
don't memorize
all right, I
names.
didn't mean to put you on the spot
It's a
there.
bestseller. It's a very
Uh,
popular book.
I'm gonna have to look it up. The magic of thinking big. Okay, great. What was the like? Why is it your favorite book? Your favorite business book?
Oh, because it just teaches you how you can, whatever you focus on, this is what you get. So it teaches you to think bigger and train your brain and your actions. And also, you will be training yourself to look out for those results as well. So it's a fascinating and awesome book.
Awesome. Yeah, I always like to say if you shoot for the stars, you're at least gonna land on the moon. You're gonna get
Exactly.
closer. You know. So,
Exactly.
what's your favorite real estate specific book?
Real estate specific book. Oh my goodness. I have one. I need to send it to you. I don't remember the name of the book.
Okay, yeah, definitely send it to me. I'm always trying to add to my library. So,
Yeah,
I
it's a very good one. It's for commercial.
okay, yeah, actually, just I was just at a real estate conference. I spoke at Inman in New York City, and there was a commercial real estate guy who's an author, and I wrote down his name. And I think he's going to be the next book that I read because his presence on stage and some of the things he talked about. I have a daughter, and he's talked about how like the how women are treated differently, and how he wants to really leave a legacy changing that. And I was just like, wow, I need to read this guy. I need to follow more along those lines. 'Cause I just don't, as a man, I don't always think about those things, and I have a daughter. I want her to do big things. So,
Yeah.
you gotta think about those things.
And
What
I
is
just found that book, by the way. It's called Confessions of a Real Estate Entrepreneur by James Rendell.
okay?
It's
Yeah, I'm
very
gonna
good.
write that down too. We're definitely gonna have to share our book list maybe over email after we're done here. So, uh, what is your dream vacation? What would that look
Well, it starts with a private jet because, I don't want to be in line and wait at the airport.
like? I like it.
And land somewhere that is warm near a warm beach and just have some time to relax and read some books by the beach. That is and be with people that I love, friends and family.
Yeah, it sounds like you could have your ideal vacation every day of your life. You're in Southern California. You just roll out to the beach and
The beach is
relax a
not
little
warm here.
bit. All right. So, what does retirement look like for you?
Do we really ever retire? I think I'll be bored if I retire, so I'll definitely be working or volunteering and I don't know, fostering kids.
I say
I'll
the
be
same
working.
thing. I'm just not a like I literally enjoy what I do, and even when the day comes that I don't enjoy it, I'm sure I could find something else that I'm going to enjoy. I just don't
Mhm.
see me fully ever hanging it up. And then plus
Yeah.
I'm actually a licensed real estate professional. I'm a licensed broker, and in the industry we have a joke that real estate agents they don't retire, they die. Right? Like we did. I always jokingly tell people like I've had numerous transactions over the years where I'll just turn around and tell whoever I'm working with at the time like if I ever get to the point where I'm that guy who's like I don't use e-signatures and I like if I'm ever that whatever the technology is in 50 years when I'm that old please just wheel me over to the pasture and put me out of my misery or something or force me to retire, put me in like a
Yeah.
nursing home or something. But yeah, I'm the same way. I totally think I'm probably never going to retire. Well,
That's
hey,
boring.
thanks so much for coming on. I wish you all the luck with your syndication journey, and if it works out well for you, I'd love to maybe have you back on and talk about how successful your first syndication deal was, and maybe I can somehow get involved in the second round, or whatever, or maybe you can help me get started on the syndication. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a really
absolutely.
that's the power of the world that we live in nowadays is that you can literally there's online websites where you can go and just join up with other people and invest
Yeah.
in stuff and it's super cool and I wish you all the best luck and keep in touch.
Thank you so much for having me on. That was a great interview. Thank you.
Absolutely, have a good day, Stephanie.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.